to do 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 to do. Hi friends, I'm Aftab from Easy Approach and I hope you all are doing great. Well, in this video we are going to make to-do application using Hive. In the recent video I have covered the essentials of Hive. So if you want to know the basic of Hives, so you can go to the link that's appearing at the top of the screen. However, if you don't want to watch that video, then I will try my best to cover the basics too in this video as much as I can. So let's get started. Hive database is NoSQL lightweight offline database. It gives you data persistency. It means if you close the application and reopen it, the data will be available. Anyways, first of all, let's see what are the dependencies we need to add in order to make this thing happen. So the very first thing that we need to add is this Hive. That's actually for the support of Hive and for implementing the Hive in our application. The second one is this Hive_Flutter. That's also for the support of Hive, but it's more kind of like specific to Flutter framework. The third one and the last one is one of the most famous packages, and I hope you have already used that. That is Path Provider, to get the path of most commonly used directories within the application, because we will be using the application document directory for storing the file of Hive database. So that's it. That's what you have to add in your pubspec.yaml file. Now let's see the design of the application and the code that I've done to save the time. Firstly, let's see the design of the application on a screen. So this is the simple design of the application. So far we just have a floating action button over here and we have a pop-up menu button over here. Now, if the user would tap on this floating action button, he can add the task by giving the title and the detail of the task. Afterwards, in the middle, we will show the list of all the tasks that he would have added so far. For now, there is nothing. And if the user would tap on this pop-up menu button, he can choose either all, completed, and incompleted. And if he taps on all, then all the tasks that he have added so far will be shown in the list in the middle. However, if he taps on completed, only those tasks that are completed will be shown in the list. And same for incomplete. Now let's see the code of all this design. So first of all, we have this My App widget. That's actually the root widget of the application. And inside the home, I have given my home page widget, which is this widget and the only screen widget of the application. And inside the My Home Page widget, I have declared these two text editing controllers. The first one is Title Controller and the second one is Detail Controller, which I'll be using inside the dialog box which appears when user taps on this floating action button. So this Title Controller is for this field and this Detail Controller is for this field. And after it, inside the actions of app bar, I have used pop-up menu button of type string. So it would have all the string values in the pop-up menu button. So it has two callbacks. The first one is onSelected, which gets called whenever the user would select one of the options from this pop-up menu button. So say if the user select this completed, then we would have completed in this value. And after this, inside the item builder, where we define the appearance of each individual item that's actually in this pop-up menu button, I have made a list of all the options that are actually available inside the pop-up menu button. And what I'm doing, I'm mapping each individual option into a pop-up menu item. So after all, we would have 3 pop-up menu item, and what I'm doing ultimately, I'm converting it into a list. So we would have a list of 3 pop-up menu item for each these options. And at the last, I have used a floating action button, and inside the on press I have showed a dialog, and in the dialog I have used a column widget wrapped inside the container so that we can apply some padding. And inside the column widget we have 2 text fields. The one is for title and the second one is for detail, separated with size box. And at the last we have flat button, and inside it we have to add the to do into the database. So now, first of all, before saving the data into the database, we first need to have a model class for the task. That's actually the to do. So what I'm doing, I'm going inside the lib and I'm creating a model class. So just go inside the new, and you would have a dot file, And what you have to do, you can give any name. So what I'm doing, I'm giving the name to do model, or you can even give it task model. And now let's define this class. So I'm giving the name to do model, and inside it I would have first final string title, that would be the title of the task, and the second one would be the detail. And at the last we would have a bool for is completed or not. So if the task would be completed, we would set it to true, and if it would not be completed, then we would set it to false. So now let's make the constructor for it. First of all, let's initialize title, then detail, and then is completed. So this is it. Now as we have the model class for to do, and now we can write the logic for storing the data into Hive database. And now, as you know, we store data in Hive in boxes. So in Hive we have boxes where we store the data. So before storing the data in box, we first have to create or open the box so that we can use it for storing and retrieving the data. So what I'm doing, I'm going at the top inside the main, and first of all I'm converting the arrow notation into the ordinary one. And before running the app, I will write the code for initializing the Hive, and I will write the code for opening the box as well. So first of all, before opening the box, we first have to initialize the Hive database. But before initializing it, what I'm doing, I'm using here async, since we will be using the await keyword inside the main method. So now what I'm doing, I'm using Hive, and inside it we have init for initializing the Hive database. And here we have to specify the path of the directory or the place where you have to store the database file. So what I'm doing, I'm using here the document directory for storing this file. For this, I'm making a variable and naming it document, because it will store the reference of document directory. And I'm using the path provider package to get the reference of document directory. So first of all, it has a lot of features, so we have to use await here, and we have to use the future get application documents directory. And now you can access the path of it by using document.path. And now we are good to open the box for to do model. For opening the box, you first have to write Hive, and inside it you have open box. And here you have to specify the type of the data that this box will be storing. So you can either give here integer, then in this case it will be storing integer values in the box, and you can either give here a string. But for now, in our case, we have to give here to do model. But the issue is Hive only supports primitive data types. It can only store in the box integer data, string data, or boolean data, and some other primitive type. But in order to make it work with the to-do model, we have to register the to-do adapter, the adapter against this model class. But how you can write the adapter class for this to-do model? For this, you have to write a lot of boilerplate code. But the good news is, in order to avoid the boilerplate code, we can generate the adapter class using the Hive Generator. Hive Generator is basically a package that's given by Hive itself, so it helps to generate the adapter class, and it helps to avoid the boilerplate. So for this, what you have to do, you first have to add these two dependencies in your dev dependency. The first one is Hive_generator, and the second one is build runner. So just go inside the pub spec file, and you have to paste it inside the dev dependencies, because we just need to get these dependencies while development process. We don't need to have this in the deployment. So we can just close this, and now we can generate the to do adapter. But for generating the adapter code, you have to do few changes in this model class. For each custom type that you want to store in the box, you first have to write Hive type, and inside it you have type ID, so you can give integer value, so something like 0. And for each of the field that's inside the to-do model, you have to give Hive field annotation, and inside it you have to give the index of the field. So make sure it is unique for every field. And the second thing that you need to do is you need to include a file that is not right now available inside the lib, but it will be generated by the Hive generator. So what will be the name of the file? So the name would be same, todo_model, but it would have g ... as extension. So g means generated file. You can see over here is giving error because this file is not right now available. So for generating all the things, this file and the adapter, you have to open the terminal, and here you have to run a command. So this is the command that you have to run. So you can just use this command and you have to hit enter. So this would generate all the necessary files that we have to use. So you can see now over here there is no errors. It's showing no error, and you can see the todo_model.g ... as well. Now you can see there is some error inside this file. So yeah, hey, over here. So for getting rid with this error, what you have to do, you can go in your PubSpec and you just have to increase the size, increase the version of your SDK. Now you can just click on packages get. Because this code is not supported in the older version of the Dart, so we gotta update this. Now you can see over here there's no error. Now we can go back to the main where we were initializing the box, and now we can carry on writing the code for registering the to-do model, to-do adapter basically. So before opening the box, you first have to register the adapter. So you can use Hive, and inside it you have register adapter, and you can use the generated file. So it will be same like to-do model, but it would have adapter after it. So this is the generated file, and now you can open the box. So here you have to specify to-do model, and here you have to specify the name of the box by which we will refer the box in the future. So what I prefer that you make a constant variable, a string, and let's make it to-do box name. And it would be, you can give anything like to do, just to do, and you can specify this over here. So this is the code for initializing the Hive and for opening the box. But there's one thing that is missing. Whenever you try to communicate with Flutter framework before running the application, you can see we are running the application over here, and we are trying to communicate with Flutter framework. So we have to ensure the Flutter widget binding. So for this you have to write this line, widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialize, and this is what you have to do in order to set up everything. Now we are good to write the code for adding the to-do or the task into the database. So first of all, what I'm doing, I'm making the reference of the box, because in order to put something in the box you need to have the reference of it. For this I'm writing here box, and the type should be to-do model, and you can give to-do box, you can give any name. And what I'm doing inside the init state, I'm initializing this to-do box. So for initializing it, what you can do, you can just use Hive, and inside it you have box, and inside it over here you have to specify the type of the box, that is to-do model, and here you have to give the name of the box, the same name that we have put here. So that's why I have used here a constant string, so we can just give it here, that is to-do box name. So this is what you have to do in order to initialize the to-do box for the reference, so that we can use it for storing and getting something from this. And now let's go inside the on press of this flat button, and here we will write the code for the for adding to-do into the box. So first of all, let's get the value from the text editing controller, because inside this dialog box we have two text fields. So let's get this values from this text fields. So what I'm doing, I'm making a final string variable of title, and I'm getting the text from the text controller using text controller.text, and same with the detail. I'm making again a string variable of final, and this is how you can get the values from the text editing controllers. And now we can make the to-do model object, and let's initialize this. We have to give title first, So let's give the title, and then we have detail. So you can give the detail. We have stored it in detail variable. And at the last we have to give is completed, because we are just adding the to do. So for now it should be false because it's not completed. And for saving this to do into the box, we have two options. We can either use .put. In that case you have to specify the key as well as the value. So key should be unique, and in the value we can just refer this to do. But you can do another thing. If you don't want to give the key yourself and you want to make it auto increment, then you can just use add. So this is what we are going to use. So you can just give here to do. So this will add to do into the box. And at the last we need to dismiss the dialog box as well once we successfully added the to do into the box. So for dismissing the dialog box, you just have to use navigator.pop. And now we are good to run the application, but I think we have done a little mistake. We have to use, while opening the box, we need to use await, because this is a future. So I think this is it. Now let's run the application, and let's open the console as well so that we can see in case we have any error. Okay, so it's giving some sort of error. Let's see what's this. Okay, so it gives this type of error when we added some plugin or package and we don't restart the application. So I prefer you to stop the application, and let's restart this. And now the application is restarted, and you can see there is no error. It's working properly. So now let's test the feature of adding the task into the box. So let's give here tutorial, because that's what I do. And in the detail, let's write Hive to do application. Okay. So now let's click on add to do. Now the task is added, but we have no way yet to verify that has it been really added or not. So for the verification, we gotta have a list view in the middle, in the body of the scaffold, so that we can verify all the items that has been added so far. So what I'm doing, I'm going in the body here in the column widget, and I will use list view widget to show all the tasks that has been added so far in the box. However, the list should not just show the list of all the tasks that has been added so far, but it should also listen to the data that's being added to the box, so that whenever some task is modified in the box, like we update the task or like we delete or added a new task, the list can update itself. So for this purpose, we gotta use value listenable builder. So here it is. And now there's a property that we need to define in this value listenable builder, that is value listenable. So here we need to define the listenable instance of the box. So just write here the name of the box, actually the variable name. So here it is, to do box, not the string name, and inside it you have listenable. And now we gotta define the builder. Inside it we have to place the widget that would be listening to this listenable box. So first of all we have context here, and then we have the instance of box of to do model. And then we have the child property, and we can just we don't need to use this. And inside it we have to return list view, because this will be the widget that would be listening to this box. And now as we have to show to do title and detail for each of the tasks, and we can access to do if we have keys. So first I'm getting all the keys from the box. Not here, we gotta do inside the builder. And firstly I'm making a list of integer, because the key will be in integers. And for getting the keys from the box, you have to first refer the box. So this is the box we are going to refer, not the one we referred earlier, because this is the listenable box. So inside it we have keys, and you can see here it returned us iterable instance of dynamic data. So we gotta cast this dynamic data into integer values. So you can do it by using cast, and here you can specify the type in which you want to cast the data into. And now as you know, it's in the iterable form, so we need to convert it into list. So you can just use toList. So it would return all the list, all the keys that exist in the box. And now we can define the, first of all, item count. So we can give here keys dot length, because that would be the length of all the items. And here, first of all, let's define this separator builder. So just we have context, and then we have index, and just we need to return divider. Now let's go and define this. So here we also have first this context that we don't need, so we can just write underscore, and then we have index, and then we can return the list style. Now inside the list style, we have to show the title of the task and the subtitle, that is the detail of the task. So what I'm doing, firstly, I'm getting the key on this index. So what we can do, we can just write final end key. So it will be the key on this index, the current key, and you can get the key by specifying here the index. And now on this key, we need to get the corresponding to do. So what we can do, let's make another variable, now this time to do model, and let's just name it to do. And we have the box of to do's. Here it is, you can see this. Now we can specify this key, and we can get the instance. So you can do it by get, and here you have to specify the key. So this is how you can access the corresponding the to do for this key. So now as we have the to do, and we just have to show it on the list style. So what I'm doing in the title, I'm showing the to do title, and I'm doing same with the subtitle. Just I have to change it to detail. And in the leading, I am showing the key of the to do. You don't have to show the key while making it a practical application, but just for the learning. Sorry, the key is just this. And as this is an integer data, so we have to wrap it inside the inverted commas. So I think let's this is all we need to do. Let's refresh this. But first, what I'm doing, let's make it shrink wrap true. Okay, now let's run the application. So you can see it's showing the to-do that I've added so far. So it's showing the title, tutorial making, and this is a Hive tutorial. So this is it, and you can see here the ID, the key as well. And maybe I can make it a little prominent because it's not completely visible. So just increase the size. Let's make it 20, just 20. And let's make this 16. Okay, now if I refresh it, okay, let's make it 24, and this is 20. Yeah, this is more better. Now let's try to add another to do. So what I'm doing, I'm clicking here. Okay, now let's say meeting with Asan, and let's add some detail, meeting about project. Okay, now if I tap on it, it should show in the list. So you can see it's showing in the list as well. So this is how you can achieve and how you can listen to the data that's being added to the box. And now we are going to add another feature in this application, which is mark as complete. The user can mark the task as completed, and then in the future he can filter the task based on either the task is completed or not. If he chooses completed, then he can only see the completed task, and if he taps on incompleted, he can only see the incompleted task, and in the case of all, he can see all the tasks that are in the box. So for this, what I'm doing, on the on tab, what we will do, we'll show some dialog on which we can place the button that would show mark as complete, and when the user would tap on the button, we can update the status of the to do. Okay, now let's define the on tab. And inside it, we can paste the code of this show dialog, and we can just do a little changes in it. So just copy this thing and just paste inside it. Now what we can do, we can just get rid of all the things. We can just leave the flat button, and inside it we can just change the name. And let's get rid of these all the things. And now for updating the to-do, we don't have something like update. What we do for updating is we rewrite or overwrite the data on the same key. But we will not use this to-do box for adding or modifying something into, because this is just the listenable instance. But we would rather use the to-do box that we referred earlier in the init state, or that we actually initialize it init state. So now we have to use put, and the key on which the user has tapped is this key. So we can just refer this, and in the value we need to give the modified to do, not the exact to do. So what we can do, we can make another to do model, which is m to do, which means modified to do, and let's make it a new instance. And in the title and detail, we will use the detail and title of the old to do, because that's not changed. So what we can do, here it is, the old to do. We can just use to do dot title, and same with the detail. But the only thing that we need to change is the is completed. Here we have to give true. Sorry, here we have to give the detail. Okay, this is it. And here you just have to give the reference of m to do. So now we have updated the to do, but we don't have any way of verifying that which one is completed or which one is not. So what we can do, I'm using in the list style a trailing, and I'm making a icon, actually using an icon of tick. I think it's arrow. Or maybe check. Yeah. So if the to-do or the task is completed, we will change the color of this check into green, or if it is not completed, we will change the color it to red. So let's define the color. But first of all, we have to see if this is true. And if this is true, we can choose color dot green, because this is completed. Else, we can give red color. Now let's run the application again. And change one of them and mark one of them as completed. So if I tap on it, it shows me mark as completed. Now if I tap on it, it should show the green button or green check. So you can see over here it's showing green check as completed ones and red to the incompleted ones. Now we have completed all the features, but the only feature that is left is this filter one, that we can filter the to-do based on whether it's completed or not. So for this, we have to do a little filtering part, or we have to use where clause. First of all, what I'm doing, I'm going at the top and I'm making an enum, that is to do filter. And there will be three different things. The first one is all, the second one is only completed ones, and the third one is incompleted. Okay, and now I'm making a variable of to do filter, and let's make it a status or just make it filter, and initially it would be to do filter dot all. But what we can do inside the on selected, we can change this to do filter accordingly. Now what we can do, we can compare the value that we will get here. So we can compare it with either all completed and incompleted. So just I'm pasting this thing, and we have to compare it with 0 for equality. And the second case would be for this thing. So just write it here, and at the last we would have else. Now if the first case would be true, it means the user has selected all. So what we have to do, we have to set state, we have to call set state, and inside it we have to set the filter to do filter dot all. However, if the user would select the completed, we have to again call set state, and inside it we have to change the filter to completed. And likewise, we can just copy this code and just paste it here. Just we have to change it to incompleted. Okay, this is what you have to do. And now the only thing, we have to get the keys of only those who are completed if the user has selected completed, and same with the incompleted ones. Now what I'm doing, before getting the keys, I will first check the status of filter actually. So if this is to do filter dot all, we have to get all the keys. Else, if the filter is completed, then we just have to get the keys of only those tasks that are completed. And at the last, in the else, we can just get the keys for the incompleted ones. So firstly, let's declare this list at the top, and now we can initialize this keys in case of all. So we can just put this, because this is the case of all, we need to get all the keys, we don't have to filter out anything. And for the rest of the parts, we have to filter the keys by using the where clause. So what you can do, let's do first for the case of completed. Here you have to, before converting it into list, you can use where, and here you have to specify the test, and only those keys that will pass the test will be in the list. So the test is something like, here you get the instance of the key, or you get the current key, and here you have to return either true or false. So what I'm doing, I have to check the value or the to do that's on this key is completed or not. So what I can do, I can use the to do box. Now I can use this one, the listenable one, and I can get the to do by specifying here the key. Now what I can do, I can use is completed, and this is what I have to return. So it will return true if this is set it to true, and it will return false if it is not true. So this is how you can get the keys of only those tasks that are completed. And now let's do this for incompleted ones. So what you can do, you can just copy this thing, and before toolist you can just paste it, and just you have to do a little change. You just have to use your exclamatory signs. Now this would return us the list of only that are incompleted, because we are using here exclamatory signs. So I think this is it. Now we can test the application. So now let's rerun the application. And before running the application, let's add another task. Okay, so now let's click on add. So you can see it's added and it is not completed one. And now if I just choose the incompleted ones, so you can see it's showing only the incompleted ones. Now if I choose the completed, so it's showing only the completed one. And same with the all. So in the case of all, it will show all those. So let's tap on this and let's change this to completed. Now let's again filter and check on completed ones. So it should show 2. So you can see it's showing only the completed ones. So this is it from this video. I think this is the longest video I've ever made. So this is it from this video. In this video, we have learned Hive and with type adapter, because we have already discussed the essentials of Hive. And in this video, we have learned the type adapter and how we can generate the type adapter and how we can add customized data into the box. And we have made to-do application using that. So this is it from this video. If you like the video, please give a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel and share the videos with those who want to learn Flutter with easy approach. So thank you for watching.